Lesson 3. You find that on page 523 in your math workbook. And our objective today is to represent and compare measurements given in different metric units of mass and liquid volume. So let's look at Spark Your Learning. Emma has a water bottle in her backpack. Emma does not know how much liquid her water bottle can hold. How could you find the liquid volume of the water bottle? So we're going to think about some real-world ways we could find out how much liquid her water bottle is going to hold. So one thing that we could do is we could fill up. So our first step would be to fill up the water bottle. Okay, our second step would then be to take that water and we could pour it into a measuring cup. Then we could take all of those measuring cups that we use and we could figure out how much water was in the bottle. So then we could count how many measuring cups you filled with water. This would give us how much liquid would go into Emma's water bottle. All right, let's keep practicing. Let's go to page 524. There we go. And let's look at build understanding. We're going to talk about Emma again. Emma also has a button and her math book in her backpack. Use these objects to describe the relative sizes of milligrams, grams, and kilograms. So we're trying to find the relationship between milligrams, grams, and kilograms. And we're going to use these objects in Emma's book bag to help us. So let's just, by looking at the objects, which object do you think is going to be heavier? Obviously, her math book is going to be heavier. Remember, she's got a math book and a button in her book bag. Now, B, the button has a mass of 1 gram. So our button has a mass of 1 gram. The math book has a mass of 1 kilogram. Which unit is greater, a gram or a kilogram? So thinking back to our previous lessons, think about which one is greater. We know that there are 1,000 grams in 1 kilogram. So that tells us that the gram is smaller than the kilogram. So we can say that the kilogram is the larger unit. C, there are 1,000 grams in 1 kilogram. How many buttons would it take to equal the mass of the math book? So we know that the button has 1 gram. We know that the math book is 1 kilogram. So to make these two equal, we would have to add 1,000 buttons because we know that it takes 1,000 grams to equal 1 kilogram. All right, D, there is a metric unit of mass even smaller than the gram, and it's called a milligram. There are 1,000 milligrams in 1 gram. How does the size of the milligram compare with the size of the kilogram? So we know that the milligram is smaller than the gram, and we know the gram was smaller than the kilogram. So we can say that the milligram is much smaller than kilogram. Now let's draw a visual model that you could show to compare the sizes of the milligram, the gram, and the kilogram. So if we think about it, we said that the milligram is the smallest unit. So here's my milligram. Then we said the next larger unit would be the gram. And then the largest unit we're talking about is the kilogram. All right, let's go on to Step It Out on page 525, and let's keep practicing together. Okay, if you'll notice, we have a vocabulary word, so make sure you pay attention to that. 1,000 milliliters are equal to 1 liter. And if you remember, when we're talking about liters, we are looking at volume. So we're working with liquids here. Mr. Lee orders a case of blue paint for the school art project. The case contains 100 bottles of blue paint, like this one. Mr. Lee also orders 5 1-liter bottles of green paint. Which color of paint has the greater amount in Mr. Lee's order? So let's walk through these steps together. A, it says determine the amount of blue paint ordered. So if we look back, he ordered 100 bottles of blue paint. So if we say 100 bottles times 59 milliliters each, we have to, and here we are looking at our multiples. Remember, we did this in our Are You Ready? Multiples of 10, 100, and 1,000. So with this one, we're looking at 59 times 1 is 59, and we're going to add 2 zeros. So we say that we have 5,900 milliliters. B, make a table to compare your measurements. So here we have 1 liter equals 1,000 milliliters. So 2 liters would be 2,000 milliliters. 3 would be 3,000. 4, 4,000. 5 liters would be 5,000 milliliters. Write less than or greater than to compare the measurements. So we had 5,900 milliliters compared to 5,000 milliliters of our green paint. So we have to think about, now remember, this was our blue paint and this was our green paint. So there is more blue paint in Mr. Lee's order than green paint. All right, take a second and complete check understanding on your own. All right, at this point, you should have had an opportunity to do check understanding, so let's look over it together. Number 1, an eraser has a mass of 4 grams. How does the mass of the eraser compare to a token with a mass of 4,000 milligrams? Explain how you know your answer is correct. So we're comparing an eraser with 4 grams to a token with 4,000 milligrams. So first we're going to think about which one of these is the smaller unit, and that would be milligrams. So the mass of your eraser, the weight of your eraser, and the mass of the token are the same. You have to have 1,000 milligrams to equal 1 gram. So if we look at that, so we can say the mass of both objects are the same. And now we need to be able to explain. How do we know that? So we know that there are 1,000 milligrams in 1 gram. So if there are 4,000 milligrams in the token, then there are 4 grams in the eraser. So 4,000 milligrams equals 4 grams. All right, now compare using greater than, less than, or equal. So we have to think about this, 5 liters and 500 milliliters. Well, we know that this only represents, we have to have 1,000 milliliters in 1 liter. So if we have 5 liters, that would be 5,000 milliliters. Well, here we only have 500. So we know this is the greater number. Okay, and number 3, you have 7 grams and you have 10,000 milligrams. Well, we know that there are 1,000 milligrams in 1 gram. So if there's 7 grams, there would be 7,000 milligrams. So 7 grams is less than 10,000 milligrams. All right, guys, if you have any questions, ask your teacher.